Welcome to the channel for the first time viewers. Welcome back from my existing subscribers. Today I want to talk about the state of Rainbow Six Siege. I've been watching a couple of videos, one from I think it was Hicks Cap. Shrouds talked about it a little bit, and Get Flank talked about it a little bit as well. For the most part, varying perspectives, right? And I kind of feel, I was having this conversation with Quasar last night, and I kind of feel like it's becoming the it thing or the cool thing to kind of hate on Rainbow Six Siege and not recognize, too many of the good things that it's done. Now, granted, blindly following a game, regardless of whether or not you agree with the decisions that they've made, it's just one thing that it's no different than just deciding, okay, everybody hates this game. But yeah, I'm starting to see that a lot more videos of I'm done with Siege or Rainbow Six Siege is dying are starting to pop up on YouTube. And it kind of reminds me of Fortnite. And this is my take on the conversation. So I feel like Rainbow Six Siege is still the best FPS game that's out right now for people like me. And what I mean by people like me are people that don't like Battlefield anymore because they went back to the World War I and II stages, and the gunplay isn't the same, and it's just not the same Battlefield that we loved, right? Kind of fell out of love of Call of Duty, but still play it as a casual game, and are looking for something to kind of fill the void of competitive, right? And never got into CS:GO. So it's this very niche community of, I think, of people like me, which it's niche, but there's a lot of people in that space that just used to play Battlefield, aren't not really feeling the way the new ones are, especially 5. 5 was just my God, that was bad. Modern Warfare is okay. I don't have as many gripes with Modern Warfare as I have in past Call of Duties because I like what they did with the cosmetic system this time around. You still have to pay for certain things, but it's not all loot box driven anymore. So I love that. It's expensive still, but if I wanted to pony up $20 or $15 to buy something, I can directly go do that. And that was one of the things I've always loved about Siege, is that for the most part, most of your items, until they started doing these special one-off events, have been able to be purchased with Renown or with cash. You just see what you like, grind the Renown, unlock it, right? So that to me is like an instant turn on for, okay, I know what I want, and this is exactly how I can get it. Let me grind for it. Let me do all these challenges. Let me do these T-hunts. And then let me play the SAS in this ranked game. Let me play the Spetsnaz in this game. It gives you something to do while playing the game. The one-shot headshot mechanic is still, to me, it makes the game even more challenging, and it's really fun. Like when you just melt somebody or you get hit in the body twice and you hit them in the head once. Now, granted, there's some cheesy moments, but for me, I will take the good with the bad. And overall, I don't think Siege isn't as bad a state as we might. There's some tweaks that need to be made for sure, but I don't think it's in as bad as a state as some people may lead you to believe. So now that I kind of got like my feels and kind of where I'm standing in relation to this whole subject, I wrote down some talking points that I kind of will just roll through real quick. So some of the bad, right, in Siege is the broken systems that need updates after updates. So they'll release a fix for something else, but then like the Jaeger head glitch or the head shield will come back, and it looks like a Silent Hill character all over again. So things like that are very frustrating to players. The Castle 1 FPS glitch was one of the worst things that could happen in a video game ever to me. It was terrible. It's almost as if losing your save game, because what would happen is you'd be held hostage in these lobbies and your FPS would be like 3. So like literally a minute would take you like 5 minutes to finish because you couldn't walk. Like everything was just 1 FPS. So it was crazy, man. The other thing too is the higher ranked players. Not more so for me, but like this is usually where you start to get opinions that have weight, right? So the higher ranked players and the streamers and the professional players kind of not turning on the game, but voicing their concerns. And then that gets kind of turned back by their followers into however they interpret it. So let's say they have an issue with the way a system is being implemented, and they voice that issue, right? That now becomes one person voicing it to 500,000 people that follow them. And then now that is the opinion of, let's say, 20,000 of those 500,000 people. It's just like one of those things that perpetuates and then just goes in a cycle, even though they might have valid concerns. They're not wrong for doing it. I'm just saying that's something that kind of happens. Another thing, too, is when Ubisoft knows there's an issue and they're not forthcoming with, yeah, we know it's an issue, like the whole ACOG issue where the tip of the triangle wasn't where the bullet was hitting. It was like underneath that tip, so people were missing what they thought were headshots, but really it was like just over the person's head or hitting a shoulder because it wasn't really lined up properly. So stuff like that is one of those things that it's like, come on, man, you got to get that. That's one thing that you got to get right. Right, so that's some of the bad. Another thing that isn't really bad, I would say, is neutral, is that the player base is a lot better now. So if you took a break from Siege and when you were playing, it was like 50,000, 60,000 players online, and you were one of the better ones, right? Now the player size, the player pool is declining, but that usually happens when you're towards the end of a season. If you watch Steam charts, you'll see that it'll boom and then it'll kind of trickle off and have a leveling point where it stops as far as player loss, right? And then the next season comes up and it kicks in and blows up again. Then they do a sale or they have a finals and then it just triples. So with that said, the overall players from when you were playing at 50,000 to now having like 120,000 people online, there's just a lot more people that are good at the game. So it's really frustrating because there's some people that used to be platinum and now they're just stuck in gold. They used to be diamond, now they can't get back and they're stuck in plat or they're down in gold. So it's like just this weird combination. But that essentially is the bad, right? Let's talk about the good. The gameplay of Siege has been the best thing I probably wouldn't play video games as much as I do now had it not been for Rainbow Six Siege, because I was starting to taper out around Infinite Warfare, and that's when I was playing game battles. It was pretty fun, but the multiplayer just wasn't it, and the story was I don't even remember. I think I did the mission where the robot rips some dude's arm off, and I just canceled it out, went back to multiplayer, and never turned on the story again. I just didn't care, right? But Modern Warfare had a good story, so it's okay, and Siege kind of got me through that time because I was like back in like 2016 or 2017 when that game came out. So it's been a long time that I've been playing Siege. The other thing too is, like I said earlier, the overall value that you get from Siege is it outweighs some of the bad, right? Because you get all your operators that you can unlock. If you buy the season pass, you get them early. But it doesn't make it like a pay to win system where you get this operator and no one else has access to it unless they buy, right? They can just save up their renown during that week that you have of extra time to play, and then the day they unlock it for the public, 7 days later, everybody can unlock that operator. All the maps are free, so everybody moves along together, which means you don't have the segments in the player base. So that's all stuff that I feel like is good in Rainbow Six Siege. And then I would also say that, the pacing to me feels really good when compared to some of the other games that are out right now. Like Call of Duty feels really jittery, really fast. And there's some aspects I like. I like playing Call of Duty and listening to music. I can't really listen to music while I'm playing Siege because it's like one of those things that's just, I don't know. Mentally, I need to hear steps. I need to hear like anything like clothes rustling. It's just, and I take that game more seriously than Call of Duty, personally. So for me, Call of Duty's I'm a chill, I'm a relax, play some games, shoot some enemies, and then hop off. I don't even care if I go positive. It's just like whatever, right? So with that, we'll compare the two together because those are the only two shooters I'm playing right now. When it comes to comparing Modern Warfare and Rainbow Six, right? That's the two games that my player base and my friends, those are the main games that they play, right? When it comes to Modern Warfare, the weapon variety is a lot better. And the customization is way better. Now, weapon skin attachments is huge. I literally feel like it changes the way Siege feels to play. Like the holographic, it's just easier for me, dude that needs glasses, to just look with the black holo and just see this nice clean interface and just that viewing window versus all the scratches that were on the other one, and it wasn't just a dark black color, right? And to me, like the weapon skin attachments are huge, so I really like that. When it comes to graphics and destruction, hands down, it's not even a discussion. It's just Rainbow Six all day, and that's something that Battlefield to me even has lost because everything in the destruction for Battlefield just feels scripted. It doesn't feel like it used to in Bad Company where you could just see all four legs and destroy the entire building. So that was for me, the height of destruction in games. And then Siege came around, and I'm like, okay, this is dope. And kind of everybody else has kind of faded away from destruction, and Siege kind of stayed with that. So I really like that about it. As far as operator abilities and how the operators feel different, there's really nothing on Call of Duty as far as that goes anymore. That would have been something to compare back in the day. So now Siege has pretty much got that, because you have people like Ash, Lion, Finka, all these different operators that do different things. So they give you a different experience. The gunplay, more or less the same. I kind of do like that they limit it to just that specific op gets the gun, because it keeps it from everybody running like the M4. You know what I mean? So, or the 725. The competitive scene, I would definitely say it's an opportunity for Siege. But Call of Duty has got it on lock. I love the team uniforms. Like you see entire uniforms dedicated to a specific team, and everybody's out there running. And it looks like a team game, more so like paintball, but still looks really cool. So the brackets, MLG is kind of integrated now. I kind of peeked in and took a look and see what game battles was like. I haven't played game battles since Infinite Warfare. I used to play every single night, just like I play ranked every night on Siege. I think that aspect of it is what I liked about Infinite Warfare. So we used to do game battles, 3v3s and 4v4 search and hardpoint. That's all we did every night. But overall, if Siege can get their act together, pull some things together, polish up their scene a little bit, I think they would compete with Call of Duty as far as a more polished. I know the ultimate goal of Siege is to really compete with CS:GO. But at this point, it's not even a conversation. So let's work on Call of Duty and kind of get past that to the point where players can then emulate their ranked style games in maybe like a custom setting and have it count. So like game battles, you can register for a game. Last time I played on Call of Duty, you could register for a game, and then automatically that player, you don't have to add them. They're just added into the lobby because you accepted that game, and then it says, hey, you have a game queued based off your account. Boom. You launch, you're good to go. So that was just one of those things that was a good quality of life improvement, and it's just one of those things that I would love to see come to Siege. Longevity, it definitely goes to Siege because we've been playing the same Rainbow Six since 2015, so 5 years now, and it's still amazing to me. So for 5 years we've been playing Rainbow Six, and if you've been playing Call of Duty, you're probably on your 4th or 5th Call of Duty title, or you stop playing the game altogether at one point or the other, right? So I think it was Infinite Warfare that was out at the time. It was before Infinite Warfare. So whatever was before Infinite Warfare, which I think was Advanced Warfare, was it Black Ops? Maybe it was Black Ops 3. Anyways, too much time spent. Whatever was before Infinite Warfare was the it game when Siege came out, and from that point on, it pretty much became a fair game type of situation, and that's when I made my switch. So overall, man, this is kind of my thoughts. Some good, some bad, some competitive advantages, some disadvantages when compared to what I would see as Siege's main competitor, which is Call of Duty, as far as the player base. And for me, people like me, right? I definitely understand that some people, their main competition for Siege in their mind would be a game like CSGO or even the new Valorant, right? So that's just more or less the competitive, fast-paced shooters. But to me, it's more along the lines of like it's going for the first-person domination, which is more in the realm of Call of Duty, because you've got console versions, which on the other games, I mean, I think CS:GO came out on 360. So if you're into that backwards compatibility where it looks like somebody smeared mud on your screen, you could go for that. And then Valorant, I don't even know if they're gonna release a console version, but yeah, Siege is on every platform that you really need to be on. It'd be crazy if it was on the Switch. But anyways, we'll cut this video up. And yeah, let me know what you think about Siege. Whether you think it's on a downward trend or whether you think it's in an okay place and needs some work. I think it needs some work, but it's in an okay place. It's frustrating to play sometimes. I get pissed, and it's only because I care about the game. So for me, it's like one of those things where, okay, whatever. Like I had a bad night of ranked, and I hate the game. Then I'm like, I'm gonna take a couple days break, and then somebody hits me up in Discord and says, "You trying to play ranked?" And that's how it starts, man. I'm right back in it because at the end of the day, I still really do like playing the game. It has a lot of really cool experience, a lot of really cool moments. They just got to address the cheaters, the consistency of like it's a consistent issue where they release an update and something else breaks But it's not as bad as, let's say, a Battlefield, where like now the game stutters when you play. But it could be something like the shield issues, Clash being able to shoot while she's completely, shielded. Monty doing the same thing, and they fixed that. Little things like falling through the map, just weird stuff, man. Can't go on this table even though it's like vaultable, and just weird stuff like that happens sometimes. Like yesterday, I couldn't jump through a window, and I had to actually rappel to get out of the window. I think that was crazy. Like I actually had to hook from the little delivery on Oregon, was it no Clubhouse, right next to Blue Stairs. I had to rappel to get up that window. So to me, that's just little stuff, man. Like little stuff like that, like little dinks will make it to the point where you're like, all right, we got to do something about this game. But I've rambled on far too long. This video is probably long as hell. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be easy.